And welcome back into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire. I'm your host, Brett Riley, voice of the Kosciuszko Whippets, and we're joined once again by the usual crew, Jared Schatz, Brandon Davis, and Jake Wimberly. Today, we're continuing to look at playoffs. The last episode, it was 7A and 6A, and they're in the first round of the playoffs this week, and 5A also in the first round of the playoffs. But before we get to that, we want to remind you that our second quarters are brought to you by Atmos Energy. Call 811 before you dig. So let's take a look at 5A, guys. And just like last week, for some reason, every one of my brackets is filled. It just says West Point. I'm trying to erase it and put everything else, but it just keeps coming back West Point. I don't know what to do, guys, but that's just what mine looks like. Because West Point just keeps rolling. But we will break down some matchups. West Point going to be taking on Vicksburg. Lanier, one of our favorite teams all year long, is going to be facing off against Pontotoc, Cleveland Central, and Lafayette County. Then you have New Hope taking on Holmes County. That might be the game of the week there in 5A North. But looking at it first, Brandon Davis, what sticks out to you about 5A North that doesn't have to do with West Point?
That doesn't have to do with West Point. I mean,
nothing. There's not a lot, is it?
Cleveland Central, Lafayette. I think that's a game that's going to be a good ball game, a tight ball game. Both to me are both kind of evenly matched. I think Cleveland Central is better than what their records show. They've had a couple of games where they've stumbled, but they have talent all over the field. So I like that Lafayette game, Cleveland Central game to see what happens with that. And also the New Hope Holmes Central. You know, New Hope has got talent. I mean, they're up there in the Golden Triangle, up there next to the team I was told not to talk about. But they were kind of forgotten about. But they've got a good team. Alan Glenn is a great coach. He's got a good team up there. And that Home Central game, that could be another one to watch as well in the North.
I agree. I like the New Hope versus Holmes County Central. Jared Schatz, anything in the North stick out to you?
Yeah, I think he nailed it. Holmes County Central New Hope is one that can be sneaky good. Trojans 7-3, Jaguars 8-3. Look, Holmes County's got the dudes. We've talked about them since the beginning of the year. Yeah. I mean, this is a team that if they can just put it together, get hot at the right time, and they've had some big wins down the stretch, but if they can get into the playoffs and continue that, this is a team that we've said, all right, if there's a team that has the dudes to compete with West Point, but problem is as a team, they have not put it together consistently, so we'll see how that translates into the playoffs, but out of the North, that's the one that's got my eye.
All right, Brandon Davis, you know West Point and you know Vicksburg. Let's break that. What can you tell us about that game? If Vicksburg's going to have any chance at all, what's it going to be?
Well, a nugget for y'all. Both head coaches played at Warren Central. So that's more. Chris Lacey played for Robert Morgan. And, of course, Brett Morgan, that's his dad, played for him as well. So I love them both. They're both great guys. And I know that I'm a Warren Central guy, and I know that I make fun of West Point people, and you're a bunch of maniacs. And then Vicksburg, I can't say nothing good about them. But I like them both. They're good guys. Now, Vicksburg is going to give them a tough game. They're going to go up there inspired. They're going to play good football. They just don't have enough horses to keep up with what West Point has. Just on the depth, because you're going to see the train running at you nonstop all night long. And I think that they'll probably stay in this game maybe a quarter or two, just based off adrenaline and emotion and all. But when it gets to the second half, when the rubber meets the road, West Point's going to take over and win this ball game. I'll say this. I'm so confident that West Point wins this game. If they don't, if Vicksburg was to beat them, I'll eat a gallon of mint chocolate chip ice cream on this podcast. Y'all can sit here during the thing. I'll eat the whole thing. Y'all know how much I hate that toothpaste ice cream, but I'll eat, not a gallon. I'll eat half a gallon of the Bluebell stuff, whatever it is. Bluebell, if you want to be a sponsor, give me a call. But yeah, I will eat that in front of, write it down, Uncle Brett.
Wrote it down.
Well, whatever it is, half gallon. I'll eat it all.
No, you said gallon. Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll eat a gallon then. I mean, whatever you need me to do, I'll eat it, but I'm saying, that is just how confident I am of West Point winning, and not being facetious. I just think that again,
this is a PG show, sir.
Well, it
PG.
is. You got me all fired up. Dang it, So yeah. I'll lead it. I'll do that. I will do that.
There it is.
Write it down.
Wrote it down right there. So
I will eat a gallon of toothpaste ice cream on the air while we're going through it. We'll make it work. But it'll be a good game for a half. I'll say that.
You heard it here. So that's what it looks like in the North. Let's take a look at the South, who we all pretty much think West Point's going to be in Starkville. Who's going to meet them there? And this might, kind of be very competitive. You got Brookhaven taking on Northeast Jones. Wayne County hasn't had a great season, but they're Wayne County, right? They're taking on South Jones. Stone, how about this matchup? The Tomcats and the Bobcats. Boy, that's a great matchup. And then you got the Tornadoes taking on the Tornadoes, Laurel and Purvis. So, Jared Schatz, what stands out to you about 5A South? Besides the great mascot matchups.
Yeah, Bobcats and Tomcats. I mean, that's going to be fun to call for the play-by-play guy, right? Looking at this, can Wayne County give South Jones a little bit of trouble? Because South Jones is kind of down the stretch. They have not, they started off a lot hotter than they are now. So that's one that, look, hey, I called it. We'll get into this later. JDC. I said, are they going to wake up? This is my kind of in 5A. This is my, are they going to wake up? How about Wayne County? Can they give South Jones some trouble? South Jones is, I would say they're a one-trick pony, but they're not playing consistent football in all three phases, and it's really a one-dimensional offense right now. So that's a game that I'm saying watch out if you're South Jones.
That game's in Waynesboro, right?
Yeah, and they're 13-1 against South Jones. That's another nugget for you to chew on. But I think South Jones beats them by 2 to 3 scores. I really do. You look at Wayne County's wins. They've got 3 wins on the season. They're one of those anomalies. I think they're the 2 seed, which is mind blowing. They're the 2 seed down there. Their wins are against Van Cleve, East Central, and then the only playoff team they've beaten was they beat Purvis by 10. So I think South Jones wakes up. They're too good. Colin Flowers at quarterback, and Antoine Jackson, Antoine Jackson at running back, the athlete that just does everything down there. I like South Jones in that game, but it again, I don't see a bad game. I'll be honest with you guys. Looking at this, all the games in the South, I like all the games. I think they'll all be entertaining and competitive.
Yeah, well, let's let Jake talk about his numbers in 5A. When I knew we were getting some numbers, I thought it would be West Point and then a whole lot and then somebody else. But no, it's actually relatively close between 1 and 2 there at the top, Jake.
Well, it is. It's close at the top. West Point 15.18%, and then Lanier at 14.25%. Brookhaven in the South is the first South team up 9.77%. That's kind of the larger divides we've seen between 1, 2, and the rest. So far that we're going through here. But look, guys, this is cute and this is fun. You could take everybody in 5A, build an all-star team. Nobody's beaten that team out of West Point. They're just not.
Agreed.
I mean, out of every team that I saw on the road tour, which was about 40 this year, they were the most impressive of classification. They were more impressive than Tupelo. They were more impressive than any. They are going to destroy this bracket. And it's one of those years where we saw it with Panola. We've seen it with West Point. We've seen it with other teams. And I hate it for the rest, but everybody else is playing for number 2. And look, Lanier, I love Lanier. It's a great story. Their season ends next week against West Point.
Well, we got to ask Davis. What did you say as we were taking a break about if Lanier and West Point meet up?
Lanier, you're going to become a golf school. I mean, they're going to beat you so bad, you're not even going to play basketball anymore. You're just going to start playing golf. So Get you some sweater vests, get you some khaki pants, and some golf spikes. Get ready, baby.
And look, I don't mean that to be ugly. Look, there's some really good teams in this bracket. It's just West Point is in one of those rare years where they are on a different level. Look, you could put them in the 6A bracket. You could put them in the 7A bracket. They're going to be a favorite in any bracket. You could put them out in California. You could put them on the moon. This year, they're going to be in the bracket.
You just nailed it, Jake. I mean, they took out Tupelo, who's the favorite in 7A. So, yeah, you could build an all-star team from every classification, and good luck.
And you make a good point, and not being facetious with this, but if you took West Point out of this bracket altogether, put them in 6A or wherever, and you inserted any other team in the West Point spot, this is a very dang competitive bracket. From top to bottom, it really is. You look at the teams in there, but yeah, I agree with you. West Point's just head and shoulders above everyone else. And if you're not, and Brett Morgan, we're going to thumb wrestle if I have to eat mint chocolate chip ice cream on this podcast. That's all I'll say.
Maybe in a future podcast, we get Jake to run the numbers on how West Point would do at 7A, how they would do at 6A, right? Maybe run
Good
some
idea.
of those kind of simulations and numbers and kind of see what it looks like. Because just like you said, I think you put them in any classification and they're gonna keep rocking and rolling. Well, let's look at 5A. So that was this. We did 7A and 6A. Their first round. 5A is in the first round. So that wraps up all the looks at the first round teams. We'll take a break here. And then when we come back, we'll take a look at the teams that are going to be moving on into the second round. But first up, with C Spire, you've got all the technology you need for connected living. Fiber, fast home internet, ultra-secure Wi-Fi, and nationwide 5G wireless that you can count on. There's more to see at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the 4A bracket. You're listening to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.
Elegance is in the details. Pine Straw America's premium longleaf pine straw subscription ensures your landscape stays pristine season after season. Precision edging, flawless installation, because your home deserves nothing less. Pine Straw America.
Delicious, savory barbecue doesn't happen by accident. And great wings don't happen by accident either. Whether you're heating up the smoker or firing up the grill, the award-winning crafted in Mississippi finishing sauces and marinades of the Oxford Falls makes every meal a masterpiece and every bite unforgettable. The Oxford Falls helps make every mouth-watering meal one to remember. Shop now at theoxfordfalls.com and get free shipping on orders over $100.
Every job starts with the right equipment. At Empower Rental Group, we've got what it takes to get you moving fast. Empower Rental Group has it all to get the job, large or small, done right. From pickup to delivery, we're your trusted local rental partner. Rent online at renterg.com. That's renterg.com. Or come by and talk to our friendly team today. Empower Rental Group, built for the job.
Three receivers to the left, and they have an H-back. It's a gift to Roundtree. Breaks a tackle in the backfield, runs around the edge. He's got some room down the sideline. There goes Tay Roundtree. He's in! 46-yard touchdown on the second play of the game for Tay Roundtree. Just 22 seconds off the clock.
And welcome back in to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, where we're tackling playoffs. And now it's going to be the second round of the playoffs because 4A, they all had their first games this past Friday, or some of them had them on Thursday because of all that rain that was coming through. I don't know about you guys. It didn't really rain that much here. I think it rained south of Kosciuszko about 3 minutes, like heavy downpour for like 3 minutes, not even enough to really wet the grass or anything. And then it was done, and it was sunny, and it was nice here. A great night for football, but a lot of teams had to move it up to, for that. I think some teams just move it up so that they can go scout on Friday night. That's going to be my conspiracy theory on that. But taking a look at the 4A North bracket, we're going to continue with those mascot matchups. The Battle of the Warriors, Corinth and Senatobia are facing off. You got Itawamba hosting Kosciuszko. Then you have Houston and Clarksdale, and then Louisville and New Albany. Since this is my neck of the woods, I'll take a look at this one. I think the top half of the bracket, obviously more competitive. Corinth and Senatobia is a great game. I think that's probably the game of the week to watch. Kosciuszko and Itawamba, same thing. Those are two good offenses, two good defenses squaring off. I don't see. Houston's kind of an odd team. They only have 3 wins, 3 or 4 wins on the season. Not a lot. So you would think they wouldn't probably have enough for Clarksdale. Louisville, New Albany, that's the story there, because everybody was penciling in Shannon. Everybody thought it was going to be Louisville, Shannon round 2. And Shannon kind of gave Louisville fits in the first time they played in the second ball game of the year, but Shannon might have been looking too far down the road because Braden Shettles and everybody over at New Albany said, hey, nobody told us that they were supposed to lose out and let Louisville play Shannon the second time. So Jared Schott's looking at 4A North. What stands out?
You nailed it with Senatobia Corinth. I think this is going to be a tremendous ball game. 2 really good defenses, 2 consistent offenses. They've been doing it all year long. Senatobia, the 1 loss on the year, 10-1, and the Warriors 8-2. This is a coin flip game. You know, we've come across a lot of these the last few weeks. It's about to get harder, guys, as we get deeper into the playoffs. Everybody obviously into the playoffs this week, but I just think this is a tremendous matchup. Corinth is running the football at about 301 yards per ball game. Senatobia 231. They don't throw it a lot. Senatobia will throw it around a little bit more than Corinth. But Patrick Crump has been tremendous for Corinth this year. He's been our player of the week. This is a really good Corinth team. If you're Senatobia, you better come to play. This is a ball game that I really think could go either way, but I really like what Senatobia has been able to do consistently this year. They're a little bit more balanced. It's one of those where I think whoever wins the turnover battle in this ball game is going to have a better chance to win than the other team.
Yeah, and we talked about Pat Crump was our player of the game. D. Watson's been our player of the game from Senatobia, and they put up some numbers. So yeah, really excited about that one. Brandon Davis, how about your thoughts on 4A North?
Yeah, you guys have hit on it, but 2 of the backs that aren't talked about enough throughout the entire state of Mississippi, Pat Crump in Corinth, and then D. Watson in Senatobia, both at the extreme north part of the state. But this is going to be, I think, in my mind, especially in the north, just 2 powerhouse backs going at it, 2 powerhouse offensive lines going at it. That's going to be a fun game. I love Kosciuszko. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because Uncle Breck's here. I really like Kosciuszko and what they were able to do to Rosa Fort last week. But hey, the surprise of this bracket, Chris Walters and the boys from Houston going and knocking off North Pontotoc last week, an 8-win North Pontotoc team. And then, of course, Houston was only 2 wins. That right there should open everybody's eyes up. Hey, anything can happen in the playoffs. So congratulations on the Hilltoppers. That's a good program. I know they've struggled this year, but that's a good program. And then Louisville, New Albany, I think, just too much power from Louisville against New Albany.
Yeah, we've talked about how competitive 4A always is, and I think 4A North is all season long. I think it's been a little bit more competitive, but looking as we turn our attention to the South, got some good games coming up out of the South. We mentioned it in an earlier, podcast episode. League Central and Macomb, that's a big one. That one's going to be in Carthage. League Central's got all kinds of athletes, and so that's a fun one. Forest and Poplarville, that is a rematch. So last year's either third round or South State. I think it was South State, a rematch of South State from last year. So that's a fun one. Of course, Columbia's been rolling. They're taking on Newton County, and then Pass Christian is facing off against Morton. Morton able to get past West Lauderdale. So Brandon Davis, starting on with you this time. What stands out about 4A South?
I tell you, I love 4A altogether. I think that it's very competitive. There's going to be some good teams there. Columbia, obviously, they're the darling of this half of the bracket. Pass Christian, I love their quarterback play down there with Trevion. But I think Morton gets them this week. I love Morton. Zach Jones is a great ball coach, and they have a lot of athletes down there at Morton, so that's going to be a good game to watch. Poplarville Forest is a very intriguing ball game. Forest has such a strong defense, but I don't think they've seen a rushing attack like what they're going to see out of Ty Keys this week from Poplarville. And I think Ty Keys and those guys, they're very salty. They're kind of ticked off. They think they've been looked over because they haven't had the year that they wanted. But Macomb and League Central, Breck, you hit the nail on the head. Macomb's a team that is so much better than people give them credit for. And we saw that last week against Greene County, putting up 68 points in a playoff game. And League Central, talent all over the place as well. Division I athletes, and of course Breck knows them better than we do. But I tell you, I just love 4A. There's so many good teams, and if you make it out of 4A, you can walk the walk.
Yeah, Jared Schatz, anything on your side that you like out of 4A South?
Yeah, I think he nailed it with Poplarville and Forest. I think that's going to be a tremendous game. We may have a further preview on this one later in the week. That one just, I'm with Davis on this. I think Poplarville is the one that everybody's kind of looking over. The defending champs, they're hearing about it. They, probably have a couple more losses than I think they thought at this point, and I think that the state of Mississippi thought they'd have at this point. So that's a very intriguing ball game in the second round. Who's going to challenge Columbia? I mean, that's the biggest question. When you look at consistency, it's been Columbia all year long. So I want to see if they can continue that. Obviously, against a Newton County team that probably doesn't have the horsepower that the Columbia does, but I do think that is going to be an early indication. Is Columbia just going to pick up right where they left off after the regular season?
Yeah, and Columbia's already beaten what most people would consider their biggest competition. They already beat Macomb, and they beat Poplarville already in the regular season. But if you look down the road, you may be seeing a matchup with a Pass Christian or something like that. And as we get over to Jake, Pass Christian, Jake, they're kind of up. The numbers really like them as we'll look at the percentage points here on chance to win the championship. And this is the first time. The first classification we've talked about, that's the second round with the numbers, so it kind of takes in some of the playoff games as well. So, Jake, walk us through the 4A numbers.
Hey, if you're new to this and you haven't seen it before, this is a percentage of a chance of those that are left in each representative bracket to win the actual title. So this is just about the title. This moves every week. Columbia, number one right now by just percentage points at 14.23%. Kosciuszko, No Pressure Breck and the Whippets, they're number one out of the North right now, 12.45%. And to me, that makes sense the way that they're playing football. Senatobia, then Pass Christian, you referenced him at 10.89%. Then you go Clarksdale, Macomb, Leak Forest, Louisville down at 6.4%. This is going to be one of the more competitive brackets, and I think the numbers show that.
Yeah, it's odd to see Louisville, sort of middle of the road there because, much like Poplarville, it's one of those things where Louisville just kind of does what they do, right? And it's almost like, kind of business as usual. Louisville's going to be there, but the numbers have them right there. And I've seen Louisville in person. A really, really good ball club there. So, and I think, as I mentioned, they have a little bit of the easier path on that side of the bracket. Nothing against New Albany, Clarksdale, or Houston, right? I just think when you look at the bracket, you got to think that Columbia, Senatobia, Kosciuszko, Itawamba is a hard four teams. Whoever comes out of that part of the bracket going to be well prepared when it comes to a North State or a North Half championship appearance. But as we always like to say, the 4A game always one of the more competitive ones, and this kind of shows it there at the top where you have the four teams with Columbia, Kosciuszko, Senatobia, Pass Christian, all with double digit percentage chance to win. Brandon.
Yeah, if I'm Louisville, I'm sitting back and I'm smiling because you just really hit the nail on the head, Uncle Breck. I mean, Corinth, Senatobia, Itawamba, AHS, and Kosciuszko, they're going to beat the crap out of each other. So, the team that comes out of that side, you look at what Louisville has to go through with New Albany, Houston, and Clarksdale, Louisville's going to have a team is not going to be beat up as what the team that comes out of those top four, in my opinion, I think is probably the best team in 4A North. I just don't think Louisville's it this year. Bulletin board material, I don't care. I just calling it like it is. But I think that those four teams are just going to beat each other up, and Louisville's going to have a good shot at 4A North when it all shakes out.
Yeah. They're just kind of doing what they do. Jared.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's one classification that wishes that they probably had a bye week before the championships, it's probably 4A. Even 7A and some of the other ones, there's, I wouldn't say the best of matchups, but 4A, man, I mean, from round one through the whole deal, and it's an extra week of playoffs, obviously, it is the one that they're going to wish they had a bye week going into the championships, and that's just because they're so battle-tested, teams just beating up on each other. It is the most parity. We saw it before. You go back to our preseason show, this was the one everybody was shaking their head. This is the classification that whoever gets to the championships, win or lose, they deserve a championship because they have made it through Murderers Row.
Yeah, so gonna be fun to watch that play out this week. As we said, second round of the playoffs for 4A, and so that wraps up this episode of the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire. We'll have another one next time where we'll do this whole same spiel, but we'll do it with 3A and 2A. And 3A, much like 4A, I think it's got some intriguing matchups to look at. So excited to break that down. But for Jared Schatz, Brandon Davis, Jake Wimberly, Breck Riley, signing off, the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.